we need to discuss, anything you need to work on, this is the time. Tell me. If not, we'll dive into accountability, and we'll get you back on track if you're not on track. And I was really like, every time I put a word accountability, I hear like crickets, and it's like, my gosh, this is going to be a 1 hour of Art sitting by himself, maybe Kari joining me to see if she needs to record it. And it's like, look at you. We have Roxanne, we have Jason, Peter, and Vinny. And so kudos to you for not getting scared of word accountability. What is that you guys need to work on besides accountability? Is there anything? Okay.
Well, yeah, but you can't. I got to do it myself. You can't help me with it.
Okay. What is that?
I'm putting together the rental procedures for the office.
Okay, got it. All right. So, do you all have some kind of written plan for this year? Roxanne, Jason, Peter, Vinny, do you have like a plan that you worked on a few months ago?
I honestly probably let COVID be a little bit of an excuse, to be honest with you. And combined with what I do on a regular 9-to-5 situation. But at the same time, it's like squeezing a balloon, you know, you're either going to get it from one end or the other. So I did a lot less of the networking situation, and I don't really do any mailers or anything like that. But however, I have been networking among my work peers. And that I feel is building up actually a pipeline, because it's not just those people, but it's the 2 degrees of separation from within those people. And the biggest challenges I had and have had is like, if you're not involved and not plugged in, it's very hard to grow your center of influence, and it's very hard, sphere of influence, I should say. And there's no growth, you're not going to grow. That's just the way it is. So I've utilized those working relationships that I've had, and those are coming to fruition now. Accountability is really, I hold myself pretty accountable. I would probably benefit from someone else holding me accountable, like my wife or a fellow peer or something like that. So, I mean, with a dual career situation going on, that's kind of where my paradigm has been.
Yeah. What was your goal for this year as far as like income or units? Did you have a goal?
I started out with a goal of like saying, oh, I'd love to be in the at least 1 per month situation. That would be an ideal situation. And that has not happened at all because of I'm working with a client now, but it's a buyer situation, and they're financially challenged and self-employed, and I want an 800,000 4-bedroom house in Leesburg, but I only have 350,000. So, I'm running into situations like that.
No, it's really, I mean, I think what your plan is very simple. And I love everything about simple plans. If it's more complex than one page, if you cannot just like recite it, and it's 1 transaction a month, and that turns out to be 12 a year. The average commission is about 10,000. It's like Jason's things like, if I close 1 deal a month, it's not too much work actually to close 1 deal when you learn how to do it, when you have the right people. And if you're on the listing side, there's literally no work. On the buyer side, it's a lot more work. But yeah, like 12 transactions brings you additional $120,000 to your family. You spend some money on the splits with an office and some on marketing, and you have $100,000 left. So I think it's a really wonderful plan. But where do you stand now? The question is, like, we're about 6 months in, right? Like, are we done? Like, if you close 6 transactions, I think then we're gonna spend the rest of the time learning from you how you did it, And if you haven't,
Yeah.
maybe let's see how
I am not the head of the class. That would be you. I have not anywhere achieved my goal. I have people on the cusp. They're really at the on the fence, and I try to ethically push them one way or the other. But what's right for them? I don't want to go into elaborate story, but I am zero for my goal. But I do have a feeling that the tail end, a lot of things are going to happen. So I believe I would achieve at least half, if not three quarters, by the end of the year from what is building up. And there's been a lot of certainty in some of this relaxation of the COVID and stuff like that makes people feel a little bit more secure. But without being too long-winded, that's kind of my short answer. So zero, but I feel the second half is going to be much better.
I love your transparency and honesty, and it's okay. It's okay. And we have a lot of agents who haven't closed the deal, and there's really nothing. I would rather talk about it, know it, and then see how we can go from zero maybe to one and two, than just kind of avoid the fact and just hide behind something else, and maybe stop showing up to the meetings, or stop, like kind of digging a hole for yourself. And this is really good. Like, I haven't closed a lot of deals, but it's every deal you just like, it's interesting when you're not building like a sales team. That I'm an individual agent now, like all of you here. We like individual agents selling real estate. So you don't have the same consistent kind of closings that you would have when you were building a sales team, because you have several people. You lead gen from certain time to certain time every day. Few other people are doing the same thing. You sending marketing all consistently. It's like you have so much more like systems in place than when you're on your own. Like, I'm feeling what you all are feeling. So you're gonna be like, you're gonna have a good month, you're gonna have a good 6 months, and then you might not have anything. And I think Roxanne is experiencing, similar kind of comes in waves.
Yes.
For me, my wife starts freaking out, like, you haven't closed any deals. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're teaching others that you don't know how to sell yourself. and then I'm gonna, I bring in $2.7 million listing, and I sell it in 2 days, and it brings a 40,000 plus in commissions, right? So and it kind of, for a lot of agents, that will be a good year. So it's that there's, I wish I could say I figured out how to do it one a month. I know how to do 4 a month when looking at it as a business, like because I look at my past years, we can do 4, 5, 6 a month pretty consistently. But sometimes it comes from me, sometimes it comes from another agent, sometimes from the open house. Somehow it's interesting how, and my all focus and 100% energy is on that one thing. And that's why I get that result. But when I look at transactions now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, I'm kind of like where you want it to be, Jason. Like, I'm just closing about 1 a month, but my average sales price is pretty high. So I'm like $146,000 in commissions already, without really like working on it. I'm doing productivity coaching, I'm doing team meetings, I'm doing other things. So yeah, you can actually have a $200,000-$300,000 business without even working hard in it, if you worked hard earlier, right? Like, if you did certain things, like, you're gonna have to do it at some point. I keep talking to my kids, like, you choose, you study hard now, or you're gonna have to do it later. Like, a lot of us, like, we want, results now, gratification now, and like Vinny, like, would love to just get all the fruits and vegetables, but no, like, it's gonna come later. Like, you plant it, you water it, you take care of it, and that's, eventually those things start happening. So how about you, Vinny? How are you doing with what was your goal, if you don't mind sharing with us, and where do you stand for this
Our
year?
goal, there's an R here because I have a a partner, Jane.
Mhm.
Ours is one a month at least.
Okay.
We've done one this year. Well, actually, it settles this week.
Congratulations.
We've been doing the door knocking. We've been sending emails out. I've been writing letters, sticking to my sphere of influence. But and I've been doing this almost 5 years now. And I think 5 years I've done 8 or 9 uh, listings and about 5 buyers.
Mhm.
This year, 1 buyer, 1 seller, 1 listing, and she nags me every day. Every day, you know, we're sending the door knocking out, posting, talking to people, and I look at it like I'm planting seeds, and I have to let the seeds grow. And I have to water them by using my email, by using my writing letters, and I'm just hoping somebody finally says, Vinny. But it just seems like on our street, we've been hitting our street for 5 years now. Regularly door knocking, regular putting hangers on, regularly seeing people. We've got 4 houses on our street for sale. Our sign's not up.
Yeah.
We see that, and I know all the neighbors. I'm vice president of the HOA. I mean, it's like,
Great. So I live in my
don't give
neighborhood
up though.
for 5 years. I'm a treasurer of our HOA, and I've all the way till the last month, I've sold 0 homes. And 5 years, I did mailings. I now, I will go for walks. I have a great group of friends that I created in the neighborhood, and the one that I just sold, they didn't even list with me to start with, and they were like really close. We would have drinks together. They come over to my house. We come over to their house. My wife gets together well with the other wife. So it's like we have friends. It's a perfect. And when they were started like talking about selling, I said, hey guys, I'd like to throw my hat in the ring. I'd like to be interviewed as one of the agents. And they said, no, we don't do business with family and friends. Yeah, we have like 7 other agents. We have one who's a single mom. She's a teacher, and we're heartbroken not to use her because we're friends with her. But so luckily the house did not sell with the agent that they chose. And I said, guys, no bad feelings. I told you, it's not about me. It's about you. Give me a chance this time. Let me sit down with you, like as a professional, not as your friend. I sat down, hour later, said, yeah, we still have 2 more interviews. I left their house. They texted me like 2 minutes later, Art, we want to work with you. I said, guys, you're going out of town to California? Said, yes. I said, okay, start packing because I'll sell it while you're in California. True story. Didn't know it's going to happen. It did happen. We closed it while they were, actually got it under contract while they were in California, and over asking price and $2.7 million, right? So it worked. And it's 5 years, Vinny. It took me 5 years to get my first one in. So now I do have more credibility. Like in the neighborhood, people saw my sign. Hey, you're the one who was told the Dolphin House. So it's kind of finally, it's brutal how long it takes. But today's class is accountability. One thing I wanted you guys to really, it's really hard when you are independent, when you're a small business owner, you don't have any people that you need to report to. No one is reporting to you, well, with exception with your wife, Vinny, right? or my wife in my case. So and your significant others for the rest of you, but it's really hard. Like quite often we don't have a roadmap. And I spoke this morning to my daughter on the way I was taking her to school, and we talked about business plan because one of the younger ones, oh, I want to create a business. But my mom shut me down. I was like, okay, well, what do you mean she shut you down? Well, well, I was working. I said, where were you in your stage? Well, I was working on my business plan. I said, why do you need one? Oh, well, you need to know where you're going. Oh, I said, I love it. I created several businesses without business plans. It kind of worked for me, but for most people, I think it's really good to have a plan of where you're going. Who said, was it Benjamin Franklin said, like, if you're failing to plan, you're planning to fail. I think that's what he said. And I kind of like last maybe 8 or 9 years ago when I got into real estate, I really became really big fan of plans. So like, okay, what's my plan? And simple plans, nothing complex, nothing really long, but like one pager. Okay, like my plan, Vinny's plan, and Jason's plan is to sell 12 homes a year, one a month. It's a great plan, but on that one pager, how do I know that I'm on track every month and every week and every day? Like, because if I'm on track to do things that I said I'm going to do on my day, I will be on track on my weekly goals. I'll be on track on my monthly goals, and I'll be on track on my annual goals. And now I think today's is a really good time. We have about 45 days left to reflect on the last 6 months and see, like, if we had a one-pager plan, which doesn't have to be pretty, like, are we doing the activities that we said we're going to do? Right? If your plan, for example, like Vinny said, oh, I do door knock, I door knock, I do this, but like, I would be curious to see exactly what kind of plan it is, how many doors are you knocking, how often, and that would be more like a plan. Because if you ask me, how many calls did you make, Art, to your clients this week? I would say, oh, a lot. The reality is, if I tracked it, it's probably 5, right? It felt like 500, but in the real world, it's probably 5. So the plan that I hope, Peter, you went to planning session, correct?
Yes.
Do you have a plan, strategic plan?
I do. I mean, it sounds very similar to Jason's and Vinny's. I targeted a goal of 12 homes this year. And I am, well behind that. I'm confident that I'm building a lot of contacts, and, there are a lot of folks talking to me about, what they want to do. And a lot of reasons that they haven't done it, COVID being, probably the largest among them. So I feel like I'm gathering or gaining momentum, and certainly traction. But it's a grind.
Yeah.
There's just no other way to put it.
So this is like your goal, right? Like, goal is to do 12 home, to help 12 buyers and sellers to, with their real estate needs. But what was the actual plan? How were you thinking about going and getting it done?
I'm not very creative. I'm following, the good advice of others like yourself. MREA. So my goals are, they may sound modest, but my goals were 50 calls a week. I'm doing monthly mailings, and then working with my existing clients, and I'm preaching to the choir here, I'm sure, but there's nothing efficient about working with another human being. Something comes up, whether it's a crisis that they've created for themselves. I had a client who defaulted on a lease the day he signed it. So we're back to square zero. And those kinds of things.
Sure. So can we go back for a second to your plan? So you mailing
Sure.
physical mailers monthly, correct?
Correct.
And you've been doing that from consistently.
I've been doing that, I would say, pretty consistently. I haven't hit everybody every month, but I would say I'm on average probably around 80% of what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. And how many mailers is that?
That's about 200 a month right now.
200. Okay. And then how are you doing on your calls weekly, like 50 calls?
Realistically, I'm probably between 20 and 5, excuse me, between 25 and 30 a week. And
So 5 a
I
day, right? Like you make 5 calls. You make yourself make 5 calls a day.
I do. Now that I think about it, that's probably a little low. I'm probably around 7 or 8 calls a day.
Mhm. How many
one or
conversations?
pardon?
How many conversations, live conversations?
1 or 2 per day.
Okay. And are those all the leads that you're trying to like chasing, or your past, or your like sphere of influence?
That's primarily a sphere of influence. The leads that I'm chasing, tend to get more attention.
Mm-hmm. Cool. No, so that's a plan. That's what I'm talking about. Like I do have some kind of plan that I follow, and it's 12 mailings, and you can actually have it on one pager. You probably have it. If you don't, it's really helpful to have it. Just print one page or just like write with your hand. This is my business plan for the remainder of this year. This is what I'm going to do every month. This is what I'm going to do every week, and I use Google Calendar. Like I have all the reminders when I have to mail, email. And sometimes, just between us here, like sometimes I don't do it and I feel bad. I feel bad about it. I feel awkward. Sometimes I drag the task to another week, but it creates a pain for me because I know it's on the calendar and I know this is part of my business plan and it needs to be done. I do use personally 411 every week. I look at my annual goal, I look at my monthly goals, and I look at my weekly goals. And I work on the week ahead just to plan and make sure that I'm on track. And again, look, it's easier said than done. I'm failing at so many ways in so many activities, and it's like none of us are perfect. So don't beat yourself. It's okay, but it takes time. It really takes time to really become good at anything you do, and it takes 10,000 hours to master anything you do. So it's,
Hey, Art, would it be fair to say that a lot of what we do today, I mean, if you look at the goal of 1 a month, it's not by what you're doing today, it's what you were doing 6 months or a year ago. So that's a concept that you kind of cheat yourself out of a lot, because it's like, you think it's direct results, and sometimes you're lucky enough to get what I call a floor pop, what my wife calls a floor pop, selling new homes for NB. But I mean, that's a hard thing, because you're literally investing in what you're doing 6 months to a year from now, and that's kind of what it is. And I just want to see you agree with that, correct?
100%. I'm glad you reminded that all of us, that in real estate, the sales cycle is at least 6 months. And the activities that you're doing the results will come in at 6 to 12 months from now. So that's why in the MREA book, you see this big funnel that it explains to you that 6 months, you're not going to get any transactions. It's not like that you're really bad. It's not like it's going to take you 6 months to learn how to do open house. But that's the cycle. That's how long it takes for some kind of results to show up. And I will remember till this day when I started, and I was about 6 months in, and I had 0 transactions. So like when I talk to you guys, like, no, I cannot walk on water. I'm just an average agent who really was freaking out after 6 months, who could not close a deal. And I was close to like, I don't know, so like maybe I shouldn't do it. I have a trucking company, I have other things going on. Like, what in the world am I doing here? And sometimes you need another agent to like maybe give you a hug, and like manly hug. Hey, dude, like this is all good. Like what you're doing will get the results. Like I see what you're doing every day, and trust me, it's gonna work. I say, yeah, it's easier said than done, because it's so hard for me to go back to the office and do grind again and get and like I'm not talking about 6 hours of no results. I'm not talking 6 days of no results. I'm talking 6 months. Like you start checking yourself, like, is everything okay with me? Like when people tell me like, yeah, that's how long it takes, I was like, man, this is so stupid. Like I need to
It's
work
not-
6 months.
It's not like going to the gym where you work out and you think you're going to lose, 10 pounds in
Right.
this
So
month.
like, look at how big.
This is you work for a year and you get paid next year.
Yeah. It's like a year later, you're gonna know if you did well or not at your current job. So no, that's why this plan and some kind of accountability, I think, is really good. It's really good to know where we at, and it's really good to know where the plan is. And most likely, if you have a plan, and if you're not hitting the goals, there's only two reasons. The plan was wrong, the math was wrong on the math on your plan, or you're not following the plan. There's nothing else. There's only two things. You were delusional on your plan when you put this together. You thought that with one call a month you're going to close 20 deals a year. My first year's plan was, I still probably have it, to sell 50 homes. I had a plan. I broke it down by steps, how I'm going to do it. And how do you think I felt 6 months with 0 homes? I didn't feel good, man. It's like, should I stop going to the training? I don't know. Like, I feel embarrassed, because the plan was not a secret. I was like, I wasn't hiding. Like, this is what I'm going to do. And people are like, oh, yet another idiot to join real estate. He got his license, talks big game, delivers a little or nothing. So how about you, Roxanne? What was your plan for?
Well, my plan was to do 2 a month.
Come on.
And-
Okay, double 24.
Yeah,
I like it.
I just said, okay, so I actually, I have 2 new builds in the hopper, so they haven't settled yet. I have my listing and buy that I'm getting, and then I've had 2 referrals and a rental. So I'm doing better than I thought I was. So, and my thing, like I said, is like the first part of the year, I get nothing, and then it all kind of like starts to pop. And I think it's kind of what Jason says. I do that. I start and I do what I'm supposed to do for 6 months. Nothing happens. I get upset, distressed. I stop doing what I was supposed to be doing. But then that 6 months worth of work is starting to come to fruition. But then I haven't backed it up because I didn't constantly do it. So when you were talking, I was thinking, I'd like to do some stuff on our 411s and learn how to honestly, truthfully fill all those out weekly. Maybe next time, or I don't know. I guess I'm trying too hard. I know it's simple, and I sit down to start writing that stuff out, and I'm like, I just go blank. It's like I don't know what I'm doing. But so I'm kind of happy with myself, and I actually I called one. I started calling again. I called one of, and I got one of my past clients this week, and we're gonna start looking in about 2 months. So I just don't do it constantly. So I need to sit down with my 411 and my Google Calendar and time block better.
Yeah, I recommend using 411 as your one pager. If you don't have anything else, just use 411. I'll repeat myself again. I never recommend or ask anyone to do something that I'm not doing myself, or I don't think it's powerful. And it's like, this is probably one of the best things that I've learned while being with Keller Williams. Now, again, this is not, 411 has not been created by Gary Keller, right? Vinny, I'll tell you, we know Gary Keller is great. He's not God. Like, there's God and there's Gary Keller. Gary Keller is a ultra smart business person that he knows how to copy things from different places and put your own twist on it and make it better quite often. So 411 is one of the tools that, again, if you don't have a business plan, I strongly recommend start using 411. Let me see if I can share real quick. And it's very simple. You have annual goals, then you have your monthly goals, and then you can have your personal life if you want. You can have different companies. You can have different things, and then you break it down to the weekly things, right? So this is really simple. I like the simplicity of it because it's on one page, and this is something that I go and spend time every Sunday morning. Like I look at it, I look at my last week. I think, okay, how did I do my last week? If I'm on track this last week with all the activities, on all the things that I said I'm going to do, it flows into my monthly goal, and it says like, well, if I do this week correctly, if I do the next week, I'll be good in May. I'll have a good month. And if I have a good month in May, I repeat this in June, I'm going to have a good June. And that will fall into good year of 2021, right? So it's all interconnected. And again, don't have to use 401. You can just use any piece of paper, but I recommend you having a plan. If you want to close 6 deals in the next 6 months, yes, as Jason said, like you should have worked hard prior 6 months, right? It will be very difficult to change the trajectory of 2021 from now. You still can close some deal, like get some business that will close this year. But most likely a lot of the things, especially your nurturing your database, might show up in the next year. Like if you're staying in touch, if you calling your people, and the referrals will be coming in probably in the next few months. And so one thing I want to ask you, recommend you to do, like your database is only as large as it is, and it's not growing. It's actually shrinking. Like I can tell that my database is shrinking because you sell a client, they move out of state. Some people die, unfortunately, like those things happen. I had quite a few clients who passed. And so you have to add something to grow your database. Like if you're not going to be adding new people to it, eventually it's going to die out. Now, I know some people, like some great agents who build massive businesses through sphere of influence, they grow it from within the database. When they do calls to their sphere of influence, they say, hey, who else do you think I should, should I connect with? Right. So it's kind of a networking, asking for other people, not necessarily who's going to sell or buy a real estate, but just to, to add people to your database. I've never done that. For me, it was always, okay, I need to go outside and grow it from outside. Like that means I do open houses, I do mailings. I need to attract some people through some kind of prospecting or marketing activities. But again, another option is to ask for introductions. I don't know, like you have to be really special doing that, because I don't know, like how would I call my friend and say, hey, can you introduce me to some strangers? Like, can you introduce me to some strangers that don't have to sell a house? They don't have to buy. I just need to get to know them. I need to sit down, buy coffee. It's like, oh my gosh. Like for me, it's like, it's weird. It feels weird, but I know people do that. I know quite a few people build their sphere of influence and they close massive amount of business by doing it. So quickly, we'll go one by one. Do you have a plan, Peter? Besides just having in your head that you want to do 12, and you said you're going to do one mailing a month and 50 calls a week. Do you have it written or it's in your head?
No, I have it. I have it written. It's the 411 format, and then I'm also collecting, I guess, ideas. For example, last Saturday was Armed Forces Day. Nobody remembers it, nobody recognizes it, but I sent probably 70 emails to my friends that are former military, thinking of you, thank you for your service, that kind of thing. I got exactly 2 responses, but I feel like I'm keeping myself in front of people.
Mhm.
And so, as I get further and further into it, I'm, kind of making uh, I call it a calendar, but it's actually a list of dates and events, reasons to reach out to people.
Yeah. So it's more personalized than just a template.
Yeah, and
Everything.
to Jason's earlier point, I'm working a deal right now with we first started talking about it literally 10 months ago,
Mhm.
and hopefully it'll come to fruition here in the next 60 days.
Mhm. Cool. Roxanne, do you have a written plan?
Yeah, it's just like you said, it's not a 411 format, but I really have to get it there. I want to do kind of like Peter. I'm sticking to like between 50 and 60 calls a week. Some kind of mailing email once a month. And then I want to try to start just writing 5 notes a week to my sphere for no reason, just to say, hi, here I am. How's it going? Um,
So you're gonna do that now every week?
yep, yep.
5 minutes. All right. So how about Jason? Do you have a written plan? You kind of have it in your head, I know, but do you have anything on paper that
I
you
have a goal. I'm completely honest. I do not have it written down. No, I don't. I need to, and that's part of my own personal
You don't have
accountability.
to. Like, look, I built businesses. I had 80 people on the payroll without a business plan. I had no business plan. Like, I'm not saying like you're gonna fail because you don't have it. And I had this conversation this morning with my daughter, almost like arguing. She was telling me like, you need to have business plan. I said, well, I did not have one, and I did pretty well. She goes, well, you would have been ultra successful if you had one. I said, it's my kid. How do I respond to that? So I really had to take some time to think how to respond. I said, I'm an immigrant. I came here without money. English is my third language. I was like, and she's like, and like, I was like, because she learned things from me. So yeah, I guess. So no, you can be ultra successful without a business plan. I think it helps with accountability. I think that's where I'm going with it. How about you, Vinny?
I
Do you
know
have?
what I need to do. I had a business for 35 years, never had a plan. I kept an average of 10 people employed under me. I never advertised. I was never without. Work just flowed and flowed, and I had people waiting 6 months to a year just so they could have something made to by Vinny Short. So that is my experience before real estate. And I kind of thought that real estate, it would be the same thing. I have all these clients, all these people I know, but I just don't think they've really clicked that I do real estate. I'm not the famous carpenter I used to be. I'm not the hardcore Baptist minister I used to be. Um, some hope, and I talk with people. I am constantly in front of people and different people constantly, and constantly I'm talking. And it's just a matter of when's it going to click. And the sales that I have had, it's only been one stranger,
Mhm.
someone I never knew. All the others have been my sphere of influence.
Yeah. So like Vinny, like if you remember from your school days, sometimes you go for like a summer break and you come back and see this dude just like added 2 feet, like he was a midget and now he's like taller than you, like so. And then the next year, like I'm taller than him by like, what's going on? Like it's like every summer you come back and you're surprised because we have different growth spurt, like we don't grow at the same level. And same thing might be with real estate. Like you're going to see some people come in and just knock it out of the ballpark. They sold the house in the first month having a real estate license and never sold the house again, right? Like you're going to see a lot of examples like this. So it's like, oh, I can walk on the moon, on the water. Actually, it's like I sold a house and you took you 6 months, but again, that individual has never sold a house afterwards. right? And so for you, that growth spurt might be like everybody still remembers Vinny as a carpenter, like the guy that you have to wait for 6 months and really be on your knees asking for him to come and do the work. And at some point it's going to turn that Vinny is a real estate agent. Like I had people like very awkwardly hear the news when I tell them I'm a real estate agent now, like years ago. Say, what? Right? And now everybody knows that I'm a real estate agent. Like there's no doubt in anyone's mind of what I'm doing, right? Like I'm a full-time professional real estate agent, and that's what people know me of. But it took like what 8 years now in business. It took a long time. To kind of prove them that who this is new me, and that's how they remember me now. Not as a truck driver, not as a owner of the trucking company. I just got surrendered my CDL not that long ago, commercial driver's license. I kept it for all those years. Well, I just got sick and tired of getting the medicals and going to renew. Like you have to go in person, and I was like, my gosh, it's just too much work for. I'm probably not going to drive a truck anymore, but if I have to, I'll get a new license. All right, so having a plan is important. Accountability, we can actually have, if we want to keep this productivity coaching group to a very small group, we need to talk about accountability. It's always going to be a very small group. If we want a lot of people here, we can talk, hey, I'm going to give you some secrets and tips and leads and this and that. And you're going to have 15 people. Then you say, accountability, only brave people will show up. Honest and brave people.
I can only speak for myself. Stupid people.
No. Accountability and role play guaranteed the lowest attendance.
Yeah, no, that's it. So yeah, role play, putting people on the spot, like making them talk or talk about you. I think for me personally, like if I look back and at the first 6 months where I was in real estate and haven't closed the deal, and if I really think one person who was responsible for my success was a coach, like an accountability, nothing else. The only thing I remember from my coach for $1,000 a month, that was I had to report my 20 contacts every week. That's the only thing I remember for the rest of my career. So I was he just started coaching it with MAPS coaching, and he used my model, like my success story on every single training. I know from other people, he would bring me up the story because he was so proud of me. I just newly licensed and became #1 individual agent in largest Keller Williams office in Virginia in Reston out of 300 agents, right? In second year in business. First year I did like 185. It's the second year, $350,000 in commissions, and it became first #1 individual agent in the office. And so the coach was absolutely proud of that fact. But if I look back, why it worked, I think because I didn't learn much from the coach. But I learned one thing, that I need to fax my numbers in, and we will have a conversation about on Monday, did I have my 20 conversations a day, which is 100 in the last 5 days. So Fridays I send the fax, Monday we have a coaching call and we look at the number. And then, I shared the story with you that a few times I really wanted to make this number up. I'm admitting I wanted to lie to my coach like that I made 100 contacts because I didn't make, all the weeks I was making, and 1 week I just did 70 or 80. I thought I'll just do like 105. I was like, seriously, how can I have this thought in my head? How stupid can I be? Whom am I lying to? But this accountability, it just really made me it's interesting. Like it was weird. Like I pay $1,000 for someone a month to look at my numbers on Monday and tell, like, kind of shame me, like, why didn't you make your calls? I don't know. I don't work for you. You work for me, coach. Like, I decide how many calls I want to make. No, but I felt bad, and I felt bad. I really felt bad for myself. It's like, okay, well, I said I want to succeed. This is the plan. This is the model, and those are the activities I need to do in order to succeed. And yet I'm not doing it. So is the plan not sound, or like I'm just not following it? And for the most part, we have a sound plan. We just not following it. And that was for me. So accountability is a huge component. People don't like it. They don't, for a reason, right? Because if you don't have to report your numbers, it's so easy not to do it.
Not to do it.
If you like, for example, between now and the next week, if no one is tracking, I'm gonna give probably 80-90% chance that you're not gonna do your activities for the most part. But if you knew that you have to text Vinny or Peter or Jason or Roxanne or Art and let them know your activities every day, you're probably 10 times more likely to do those activities. Like we had in our team, when I was building a sales team, we got $2 million in commissions. Everybody had to report their numbers every day. We have 12 team huddle, and we have to report our numbers. All right, Jason, we'll see you. Have fun. Don't get too warm. Jump in the pool. So we would have to report it every day, because what I've noticed is like when you launch the rocket and you're aiming to the moon, you know that they just set the course and forget it and go to bed and waiting for the rocket to launch? No, so they keep adjusting it, like, I don't know, 100 times per second, like adjusting the course, or 1,000 times per second, recalculating, and so that way the rocket changes the slight direction. So same thing with the accountability. If we just set the course in December 31st of 2020, and then we check in on May 18th, like we might be off course. Like we might be not heading to the moon. We might be going like different direction. And so I think that whether you figure it out how to, keep accountable to yourself, keep accountable to your significant other, or one of the agents in the office, or use me if you want, like as an accountability. Report me your numbers. I don't care getting text or email with your numbers. Like, I'm here to help you grow the business. And if you have a plan and you follow it, like everyone on this call had a sound plan. So I'm not concerned about the quality of your plan. Maybe it needs more detail, more like kind of action-oriented plans and specific things. Oh, I'm going to do, like, I have 6 months left. Like, that's like unsolicited advice for Vinny. Like Vinny says, oh, there's 6 months left this year, and I'm going to be putting door hangers once a month or whatever it is, every 2 months in those neighborhoods, so many homes. And you have this plan for the rest of the year. And then here's what I'll do in between. I'm going to, whether I door knock or whatever, but like that would be like a real measurable plan that you can say, well, how am I doing according to this plan? And once you follow that plan at the end of the year, say, well, okay, well, I nailed this. You weekly, you check the boxes, like I'm doing it, I'm following the plan. And then at the end of the year, if you're still not getting results, again, that maybe plan was not sound, or you did not execute. If you execute, you're going to get the results. You can go back to the plan and say, well, I was too optimistic, hoping that from door hangers, 6 listings will come up, right? And maybe it will take 1 more year to get the results that I want. You're still going to get those results. It might just take longer. Someone told me, hey, Art, you didn't miss your goal. I think it was my coach. You just need to extend your year. Think that the year is not ending now. Just keep counting them. You're gonna hit it. Eventually, it's just taking you way longer than you initially planned, right? So again, accountability is a big, big component. And it's hard to be accountable to yourself. So use the resources that we have, use me, use each other, like find someone or be accountable to yourself. I think for me personally, I had coaches. I don't have any coaches now. We do have one MAPS coach for like team leader that I'm having calls with, but until we find a team leader, but I don't have a coach at this moment. I had coach for years, and then I developed this habit of doing my 411 on Sundays and working on the plan. But would I be much better if I had a coach keeping me accountable? Absolutely. I would be probably 10 times better. I don't know what's getting in my head for not having one. Maybe just like scattered too many things going on, brokerage stuff, sales, real estate investments, like you have too many balls in the air, I guess. And just having a coach for real estate, it seems like it does not make sense for me at this point. But again, that's where we start dropping the ball. So accountability, I really think is one of the key ingredients in having success in this business. Again, can you succeed without accountability? Yeah. Like Vinny has this natural skill of building small business. Like I had that too. We build it without any business plan. I know Peter works with a plan. He had a gas station, Exxon, and you probably had a business plan, correct? To how you're going to do this. Yeah. And Roxanne was in restaurant business too, right? Like I'm not sure about your business plans, if you had one or not, but there's no good or like bad way or good way. I think we're talking about best practices, right? Best practices in this. So Peter, what do you have? Any thoughts?
Yeah, it's these weekly check-ins I think are very helpful for me. Here's some good ideas, and have conversations with other agents. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining. Yeah, I'm here to. I'm not getting paid to do those sessions. I'm here to spend time with you guys, and I hope that you get some value out of those calls. And if you're not, you tell me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm here to deliver value and to deliver what you guys need. The one thing that we talked yesterday is with Brad, and I keep telling like agents. Usually, we agents don't want to hear what we need. Like we want things what we want, right? So if we provide you with what you want, you'll be happy. But usually what you want is not what you need. so it's like, how do we give you what you want and without you knowing, deliver what you really need, right? Because like when I'm very transparent, I might be turning off some people. Like, if I'm too blunt, too honest, and too straightforward, it's like, oh, I don't want to talk. I cannot relate with Art. It's just like, blah. Yeah. And like, how do I don't want to lie to you guys. I'm telling you what's working for me, and I'm telling you what works for other agents. I'm telling you what I've learned in my days in real estate, and what I continue to learn. What are the best practices? There's like 150 tools that you can use. Honestly, just use one pager. Have a plan. It doesn't have to be even 411. Don't have to drink a Kool-Aid of Keller Williams. I love Keller Williams. It's the greatest company, but you don't have to do everything, with following, to the T. Just have some kind of plan and be accountable to someone. And if you want me to be accountable, like if you want me to be your accountability partner, fine. Send me your numbers. Send me your weekly, send me what's your goal and what's your actual. And if you don't want to do it, that's fine too. It's totally fine. I'm just sharing the best practices. All right, my friends, I'll see you at 11 o'clock. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Art. Appreciate it.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks, Art.
Thank you.
See ya.
Good to see everybody.